If your Aglaonema has become leggy like this, completely empty from the bottom, or your plant is slowly losing leaves one by one, then don't ignore it. Because in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to fix this, step by step, how to prune it, how to propagate it, and how to make it bushy again. And I'm not saying this based on theory. I'm fixing my own 2 to 4 year old plants that actually got damaged this winter. These plants have been with me for years. They were full, dense, and really beautiful. But this winter, things changed. It was colder than usual, and I didn't realize how much damage it was causing. One of my red aglaonemas didn't survive, and the others slowly started losing their bottom leaves. So, let's understand what actually happened. Aglaonemas are hardy plants, but they absolutely hate cold drafts. Even if your room feels fine, continuous cold air hitting the plant can slowly stress it. And what happens is very typical. Bottom leaves turn yellow, then dry, and then fall off one by one. But in my case, there was another problem as well. My balcony is honestly taken over by pigeons. They keep nesting there. One set of babies grows before they even leave. There's another set of eggs again. And they don't just sit quietly, they bite the leaves, they sit on the plants, and they damage them badly. So some of these bottom leaves didn't just fall off, they were actually destroyed by the pigeons. And on top of that, they make the entire balcony messy. So, yeah, it's been a struggle managing plants there. But whatever the reason is, cold damage or physical damage, the result is the same, a leggy, weak looking plant. And the solution is also the same. We fix it step by step. So, let's start with the most important step, pruning. I know this feels scary, especially when the plant is old.
थोड़ा डर तो लगता है.
But this is where recovery begins. I'm cutting just above a healthy node because this is where new growth will come from. Now, one important thing, if your cutting has a flower on it, remove it. I know it feels like a waste, but a flower takes a huge amount of energy from the cutting. And at this stage, that energy needs to go into making roots, not into blooming. So remove any flowers or buds before you propagate. This one step can really speed up your rooting. And remember, even if your aglaonema looks empty, as long as the stem is healthy, it can regrow. Now, once pruning is done, you're left with all these cuttings. And instead of wasting them, we are going to turn them into new plants. And this is where things get interesting. There are multiple ways to propagate aglaonema. So instead of choosing just one, I'm going to test 3 methods together. The first one is water propagation, simple and beginner friendly. Just place the cutting in a clean jar of water, making sure the node is submerged. Now, one thing people often miss, you have to change the water regularly. Every 7 to 10 days, fresh water. If the water looks cloudy or smelly before that, change it right away. Stagnant water is one of the biggest reasons cuttings rot in water propagation. Fresh water keeps oxygen levels up and protects the cutting from bacteria. Now, if you want slightly faster results, you can move to Cocopeat or light soil. I'm using Cocopeat here because it holds moisture but stays airy. But you have to be careful. Too much water can rot the cutting. And now, the method I personally trust the most. But before I use LECA balls, there is a preparation step that you cannot skip. First, wash the LECA thoroughly under running water because fresh LECA straight from the packet is covered in clay dust. And that dust is not good for your cuttings. So wash it until the water runs mostly clear. Then soak it in clean water for 24 hours. This fully saturates the clay balls so they can start wicking moisture immediately and give the cutting the right environment from day one. Don't rush this step. 24 hours of soaking makes a real difference. I've had almost 100% success rate
with LECA.
I only fill water halfway, so the cutting is not sitting directly in water but still getting constant moisture. This gives the roots both moisture and oxygen, which makes rooting faster. Now with LECA, you don't change the water the way you do in water propagation. Instead, you just top it up as the water level drops. But every 2 to 3 weeks, give it a proper flush. Pour fresh water through the LECA generously so any mineral buildup gets washed out. This keeps the roots clean and Theleca working properly. These are some of my earlier LECA propagations. So in this video, I'm trying all three methods: water, Cocopeat and LECA. And in the coming weeks, I'll update you on which one works the fastest. I want to know what you think. Which method do you think will give roots first? Comment below. Water, Cocopeat or LECA. I'm genuinely curious and I'll reply to every guess. So stay tuned for that. Now while these cuttings are propagating, let's go back to the main plants. Because along with pruning, I'm also repotting two of them. And what I found when I took them out of their pots honestly surprised me. So I'm working with two plants here. This one is my Aglaonema Snow White and this one is a red and green Aglaonema. And the moment I took them out, the first thing I noticed was the soil. It was rock hard, completely compacted. Both of these plants had been sitting in the same soil since the day I bought them, 2 years or more, without a single soil change. And I think this is actually one of the biggest reasons they suffered so much this winter. Because when soil becomes this dense and compact, oxygen cannot reach the roots. The roots suffocate, they weaken, and a weak root system means a weak plant, one that cannot handle cold or stress or anything really. And when I looked at the roots of the Aglaonema Snow White, it was even more heartbreaking. Most of the roots were dead. The compact soil had cut off the oxygen for so long that the root system had just given up. So please don't make the mistake I made. Change your soil every 1 to 2 years, especially for plants that have been sitting in the same mix since you bought them. But the soil wasn't the only problem. When I took the plant out, I found insects inside. They looked like red ants with eggs, and some of them had small transparent wings. Now those winged ones are called flying ants or alates. They appear when an ant colony has grown mature and is ready to spread. So this wasn't just a few ants passing through. This was a full established colony living inside my plant's soil. Now here's what you should know about ants in pots. Ants themselves don't eat roots directly, but when they build a large colony inside a container, their tunneling disturbs and dries out the roots. The roots lose contact with the soil, they can't absorb water properly, and the plant slowly starts to dehydrate from the inside. And there's another problem. Ants in pots are often a sign that sap-sucking pests like aphids or mealybugs are also nearby, because ants actually farm these insects for their sweet secretions. So if you see ants in your plant pot, don't ignore it. Look closely for other pests too. I discarded all that soil completely. I was not going to reuse it. Not with eggs and a full colony inside. Fresh soil only. And this is where soil mix becomes really important. Because Aglaonema doesn't like heavy soil, it needs something breathable. For the soil mix, I use 30% garden soil, 25% compost, 20% cocopeat, 15% perlite, and 10% sand. Now I know some people use ready-made potting mix, and that's fine for healthy plants. But for a recovering plant like this, I always prefer making my own mix because I know exactly what's going in. The perlite keeps it airy so roots can breathe. The cocopeat holds just enough moisture without staying soggy. and the compost gives a gentle nutrient boost without overwhelming a stressed plant. I've seen much faster recovery with this mix compared to store bought soil. This mix keeps moisture balanced and prevents root rot. Now, my third plant is a little different. This is my regular green Aglaonema variety, and this one I am not repotting. This plant has been in the same pot for more than 4 years. But here's the difference. From the very beginning, I potted it in my own DIY soil mix. And every 6 months to a year, I top it up with fresh compost and give it liquid fertilizer regularly. Because of that consistent care, the soil never became compacted. The roots always had oxygen. The plant stayed healthy and full. The only reason it looks a little leggy right now is this winter, and the pigeon damage. The soil and roots are absolutely fine. So for this plant, I'm just pruning it and then topping it with a fresh layer of compost and some diluted liquid fertilizer to give it a gentle boost for recovery. And this is actually a really important lesson. You don't always need to repot. If your soil mix was right from the beginning and you've been maintaining it with regular top dressing, the plant doesn't need a full soil change every time. Just top it up, feed it, and let it recover. Now, once everything is set, the final and most important part is aftercare. Because even the best pruning and soil won't help if the daily care isn't right. Bright indirect light is best. I keep my aglaonemas away from direct afternoon sun because even though they're low light tolerant, harsh direct light can scorch the leaves, especially on a freshly pruned plant. A spot with good filtered light is honestly their sweet spot. Let the topsoil dry slightly before watering. I check by pushing my finger about an inch into the soil. If it still feels damp, I wait. This is probably the single most important watering rule for Aglaonema. Overwatering after pruning is one of the main reasons plants don't recover. Keep away from cold drafts. Winter में हवा से बचना बहुत ज़रूरी है. And honestly, this applies in summer too. If you have a cooler or AC running nearby, move the plant away from the direct airflow. Cold or dry air both stress aglaonemas. Light feeding once a month is enough. Don't rush this. A freshly pruned plant is already under stress, and too much fertilizer at this stage can actually burn the roots. I usually wait 3 to 4 weeks after repotting before I give any feed. Then I use a diluted liquid fertilizer, just half the recommended dose. Leggy growth usually means low light, plus stress, plus airflow issues. Fix all three together and you won't have this problem again. Within a few weeks, new shoots will start appearing. The plant will look bare for a little while, but don't panic. That's just the reset happening. And if you're someone who's dealing with more than just a leggy plant right now, maybe root rot, overwatering, yellowing leaves, or just not knowing where to start when a plant is struggling, I've made a plant emergency rescue guide. It's a 36-page PDF and it covers the most common plant emergencies with clear step-by-step guidance. Whether you're a beginner or an intermediate gardener, it's something I genuinely put together based on my own experience, not just copied from the internet. The link is in the description. It's very affordable, and honestly, if even one plant survives because of it, it's worth it. I'll share updates on these plants and also which propagation method worked best. So, if you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss the results. And if your plant is struggling right now, don't give up on it. Sometimes it just needs a reset.